Here's a video on how I create my wedding day timelines using CloudSpot Studio and Canva. So within CloudSpot Studio, I send out a questionnaire to my clients to find out about the plans they have for their wedding day. So here are the current questions that I send, and I can change these up for each client, but I asked this particular client what time she'd like her ceremony to begin, if she wants to have a first look with her fiance before the ceremony, if she wants to have a first look with any bridesmaids or groomsmen before the ceremony, if she wants to have a first look with any family members before the ceremony, if she wants to have, if she is having a first look with her fiance, if she would like to take that opportunity to do all of the group portraits before the ceremony to get them out of the way, and I ask which groupings they would like to have photographed, because you can expect each grouping of pictures to take at least 3 minutes per group. So I like to know how many groupings roughly they're going to want, because that helps me create their timeline. If they're going to have a receiving line, if they're going to have a cocktail hour, if they're going to have a dance, and if the first dance is going to be before or after the cutting of the cake, and if they're going to have a formal exit, and if so, I like to know what type. So these are the questions that we're going to be working with today. And then I have a copy of a recent timeline that I just created a copy of it in Canva, and then I've already changed the names. That's my names of this particular client, and then their wedding date. And so first we're going to go in and I'm going to plug in the new information for them. So this previous client had a 3 p.m. ceremony, but this client wants a 5 p.m. ceremony. So we're going to say that the ceremony will go from 5 to 5:30. It probably won't actually take that long. Most ceremonies take significantly less time. I've seen some that are over in about 10 minutes. I'd say about 15 minutes usually is the norm. Of course, if they're having any sort of unity ceremony, then that's going to take a little bit longer. So I like to have at least a 30-minute window for the ceremony. So now let's look back at which groupings of group portraits they want, because we know we're going to have to do the group portraits after the ceremony because they're not having a first look. Okay, so she wants their immediate families, his immediate family and her immediate family, and their grandparents, their parents, and their siblings. So that is not an extensive amount of group portraits. So let's tentatively say that from, of course we'll change this 3 to a 5, from 5:30 to 5:50 we can take group portraits, and then 5:50 to 5:55 we'll take some couples portraits. Then at 6 p.m. the reception will begin. We're going to take photos throughout the reception, and then we're definitely going to take some sunset portraits of the couple, and so we'll do most of the couple's portraits during this time. And sunset is currently right at 7 o'clock in Mississippi on this particular day in October. Okay, so I looked at the sunset calendar, and sunset is actually going to be at 6:36 that day. So we're going to change this time up. We're actually going to take more couples portraits before the reception begins instead of afterwards like I typically would, because we would have time after the reception to be able to go outside, but the sun's going to start setting earlier. So let's extend this couples portrait time, and let's say, okay, 5:30 to 5:50 we have group portraits, so let's say 5:50. Okay, let's go ahead and extend this. Let's say 5:50 to 6. And let's refer back to, okay, they're not going to have a cocktail hour. A lot of times people have a cocktail hour or games or something like that while the couple takes pictures, if they don't do pictures before the ceremony. But she's not going to be having anything like that, so we're going to have to go ahead and get those pictures out of the way pretty quickly. Also, let's go ahead and let's say 3:30. She's going to have the first look with her family because she's going to have multiple first looks. Okay, yeah, we're doing the dad and the brother and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen are going to do first looks, so we want to have enough time for that. And then her to be able to go back into hiding before the ceremony starts so that nobody sees her, because people always start coming into weddings earlier than you would expect them to. So we have to get the bride back out of the way so she's not seen by anyone. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this as 10 a.m. I'm going to arrive. And the first thing I do whenever I get there is I start to photograph the details. And then throughout the morning, I take the getting ready pictures in the reception area. As things like the cake come in, I photograph those throughout the day. Okay, so she's going to have the cake cutting after the first dance. Yes, first dance is going to happen before they cut the cake. Okay, so we're going to say reception begins the cake cutting is followed by the dance, and then let's add in here okay, let's see how we can make all this work, because we want to be able to get them some sunset portraits but still be able to enjoy their reception. Okay, so let's just remove sunset portraits afterwards. I was thinking we could squeeze in some more, but I think that's going to be more problematic. Okay, so let me go ahead and add in so I always recommend people have a pretend exit or a faux exit instead of actually waiting to have the exit whenever they're leaving, if they're going to have anything like sparklers or bubbles or any other sort of send-off fanfare, because by the time they're actually ready to leave, most people will have already left, and so you'll have spent a lot of money on your sparklers or bubbles or whatever it is that they just do not get used because people have already left. So I always recommend my couples have a pretend exit so that they get to have their cool exit picture with all of their, again, sparklers, bubbles, whatever it is. Okay, so let's say 7:30. So that should give them enough time to enjoy their reception and not feel rushed to have their sparkler exit, but there will still be enough people there that they can actually have their exit properly. So let's say 6:50 to 6:10 are couples portraits. And then let's say 6:15 the reception begins. And most of these things will actually take less time than anticipated, but I like to go ahead and allot more time than we think we're going to need, because it's always better for things to finish early than for them to take more time than you had expected. Okay, so let's run back over this. Okay, I arrive at 10. The first thing I do again is I photograph details. I'll have my assistant with me. She'll be taking things throughout the morning as well. So 3:30, first look with the family. Let's say first looks with family start. I don't want to allot a certain amount of time for each of the first looks because we'll have enough time. So I don't want them to feel rushed and feel like they can only take 5 minutes if they need it, but they probably won't spend more than 5 to 10 minutes at most. But again, we have plenty of time, so not going to actually put those numbers in there, because one of my recommendations whenever you are making your wedding day timeline is that if you have things broken up into tons and tons of little increments, it's going to be really difficult to adhere to that schedule. Okay, so 3:30, we're going to do first looks with family. Family and bridal party. Whoops. Okay. Oops. Okay, so $10 I arrive and photograph details. 3:30. Also, I always leave the morning pretty loosely structured as far as the timeline is concerned from my perspective, because if hair and makeup are coming to the venue, that, or if they're going somewhere else for hair and makeup and all that, there's a lot of variables, and I leave those times up to the hair and makeup team. They know how much time they're going to need, so I don't say, hey, hair and makeup, you have to start at this time and finish by this time, because everyone works so differently. It's going to change based on if you have mother of the bride and groom also having makeup, hair, and done, if you have 10 bridesmaids plus all these other people having hair and makeup done, or if you just have, say, the bride is the only one having makeup, or a bride and 2 bridesmaids and then the moms. And so there are a lot of different things that can affect that time, and so I don't decide those things. I just give them a time whenever I would like them to have those things done, and then they can decide when to start based on their own experience and what time I need everyone finished for the first looks. So 3:30, first looks with family and bridal party start. Then the bride goes into hiding once they finish those. Then 5 to 5:30 is the ceremony, but it'll probably be a little bit less than that. And then immediately following the ceremony, we'll take some pictures. We'll group everyone back in there for the list of family portraits. I always have an assistant with me, and she's going to have the lists of everyone we need. And I also recommend for my clients to have a family member or a trusted friend who knows lots of the family to be able to have a list and say, hey, we need to get all of these people together, and make sure they don't wander off, because they're going to actually know the family members and I probably won't. So that gives us 20 minutes for group portraits. Then immediately following the group portraits, we'll have couples portraits, 20 minutes of those, and then the reception can begin at 6:15. We're going to cut the cake, we're going to dance, we're going to take pictures throughout the reception, and then 7:30 we're going to have a pretend exit with sparklers. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this, and I'm going to send it over to the bride for approval. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye.